The history of golf in the south suburbs is intimately twined with the Illinois Central Railroad. It's basically because of the railroad that these clubs exist.
What makes the Southland special historically, I believe, is when you go back in history and how the courses were built here. It was a company in Chicago, I think it was called the Standard Company, and they were all industry titans, and they wanted to build courses away from the city, accessible by train. They ended up building 5 courses that they could get on the train, leave the city, come out here, and play these 5 courses: Calumet Country Club, Ravenslow Country Club, Flossmoor Country Club, Olympia Fields Country Club, and Idlewild. And they became known as the Five Sisters. I don't know how they got the name of the Five Sisters, but they did.
The reason Flossmoor Country Club, the initial of the Five Sisters or whatever we want to call them, is where it is because if you look at the map, Flossmoor is halfway between downtown Chicago and the steel mills in Gary, Indiana. And it was built as a summer community for basically the steel executives, U.S. Steel, Bethlehem, Inland.
In addition to coming out here to golf, many built summer homes out here. So the man of the house, the businessman, might commute back and forth or might stay in the city during the week, but his family stayed out here during the week, during the summertime. The 4th club that opened in our area was actually the Olympia Fields Country Club, which was organized, I believe, in 1915, and actually became, or was touted as, the world's largest country club at one time.
Well, what's unique about Olympia Fields is really how it was started. Back in 1915, 5 businessmen from downtown Chicago decided that they wanted to find some property out in the country where they could establish a large club. And the goal was to have a club where people from downtown Chicago could go to recreate on weekends and in the summer. The Metra train stop was established immediately after the club was built. And the first president of the club was Amos Alonzo Stagg, the famous football coach from the University of Chicago. He was also a track and field Olympic coach.
A lot of notable people have been members at Flossmoor. I don't know the exact number, 6 or 7 Nobel Prize winners, and they're all from University of Chicago. A lot of the professors from University of Chicago live in Flossmoor because of well, I still call it the IC, it's the Metra, and because they can travel on the train to 55th Street, and you're right there on campus.
Even today, people from the city take the train to come out here and golf. We offer a service here at Ravenslow. We pick golfers up, they call us, tell us what time and what their train's coming in, we pick them up, and their clubs bring them in here, take them back when the round's over.
The club has always had a big downtown element, which we still do. 90% of our members live over 40 minutes from the club. We also have a large national membership, over 120 national members. These are people that live over 150 miles from the club. We have members from probably 25 states.
It's how these communities started because of the golf courses. I mean, so at one time, the golf courses were the draw to come to the Southland area.
Although these clubs were private, there wasn't a lot of interface between the local community and the country club. The average resident wasn't coming over here for parties and things like this because these were private clubs. Probably after World War II, with the suburbanization of this, the greater suburbanization of this area, where more people moved in, and probably more people moved into Flossmoor because they were more affluent people. I think that's probably where you saw the local resident also being, the member of the club. So there was, they didn't have to travel, they just drove to the club and spent their day there.
And my family joined Flossmoor Country Club in 1968 or 69, I'm not sure. Having started there as a toddler and then playing competitive golf as a teenager through high school, and then as an adult, then as a parent. There's a million memories, but my fondest memory was being a kid in a simple time, getting on my bike with my two best friends that we all lived next door to each other, riding over there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go to the swimming pool and swim, and then go hit golf balls and practice and go play, and then play in the afternoon. It was what we did every day.
Playing golf at Homewood-Flossmoor High School was an honor. We were real respected in the entire sports community of golf. You know, we've got kids that grew up on the best country clubs here in the world. And so we were respected, and they knew that we were coming to win. With the rich history of golf at Homewood-Flossmoor, I mean, I can't name probably too many high schools that have that rich history.
You know, one of the things in the past is, you know, we were very cliquish. Jews weren't allowed in some of these clubs. You know, Catholics weren't allowed in some of them. Blacks certainly weren't allowed. Today that thankfully is different.
The most difficult thing to me growing up in terms of acceptance is driving past these beautiful golf courses every day and only being able to look over the gate. Idlewild, Flossmoor, Olympia, Ravenslow. Heck, I got kicked off of Flossmoor as a high school player because they didn't allow people of color. And playing Idlewild and Ravenslow and Olympia was just highly out of the question. You didn't even ask.
I know what a privilege it was to grow up in Flossmoor and to have that. You know, when you're 8 or 9 years old, that doesn't really sink in. And it was a simple time.
You know, perhaps maybe the unfortunate thing is some of these clubs might be maybe suffering economically now. So they've transitioned several of them from being completely private country clubs to public clubs. So the dynamic of who's the member doesn't exist anymore. It's open to everybody.
For me as a black woman, I believe my being a woman is probably seen first, and that initial intimidation being in an all-male space is palpable. You can feel it.
You know, right now the two really still private clubs out of the main 5 are Olympia Fields, which I probably don't see that changing for hopefully a long while, and Idlewild, which I think is still doing quite well.
So our club, you know, started in 1915. Obviously back in those days, in the private country club world, it was a white male dominated group. Over time, women became more interested in the game of golf.
Yeah, from what I've seen is we're getting more and more diverse, especially with ladies. There's a huge uptick of ladies coming in the last couple of years. They see it as social, joining leagues. They like to be with each other, and that's the one sport that they can do right now where you can keep your distance, have fun, you're outdoors.
So in the past 5 to 7 years, we've really seen a great increase in golf for women and women of color especially. What we're finding is as women of color want to become more active.
We Play Too is an organization for ladies of color, just diversity and inclusion. We want to bring more ladies into the game. We want to equip women with a space and a place to relax. Just want to be an avenue where ladies can just enjoy themselves.
So we review the course from the parking lot to the clubhouse. We look at certain holes on the golf course. Are they isolated? These are things that people who have the privilege of not fearing for their safety don't think about. So this is a golfing community put together so that we can find each other, because as women we have a lot of responsibilities. We work, we have families, and we have to get our golf in after 5.
The moms, of course, have the toughest job because they have to run the house, and they have to, a lot of times, take care of the kids as well. So
anybody with kids or married knows it's tough in today's world. Mom and dad work. You know, if I walked in and said to my wife on Saturday morning, I said, I'm playing golf, I'll see you at 3 o'clock. She'd look at me like, oh, really?
We're seeing a lot of golf clubs, you know, guys, you know, men and women that don't want to, you know, join a country club, exclusive, and pay the monthly dues and that kind of thing. They will opt out to these clubs where they have a variety of courses to play.
I see a lot of young men, young single men playing. Guys from the city. They, you know, they're young, they're making a few bucks, they want to go out and play, and I think that's what I see when I go over there. These 24-year-old whippersnappers that, you know, aren't married, don't have kids, and have time.